Hey, what is up guys? Massive here, back to do another video, and we are back on Tournament Airstrip. I'm going to be playing as the Steel Talons. My opponent, Futurama, we're playing as the Black Hand. Now this is not Airfield, actually. This is the version of Airfield that came before Airfield is as we all know it to be. This is called Tournament Savannah. Now, the differences on this map compared to Tournament Airstrip is that there are no two Tiberium fields in the bottom of the map to expand to. Instead, there is a shared contested Tiberium field in the middle. Plus, each player has 2 spikes each. There's no contested spike in the middle. Aside from that, those are the only changes. Now, whoever maintains control of that middle field will ultimately win the match. It's a little bit like Tournament Highlands. There is a blue Tiberium field in the top as well, with 2 gasable structures to protect it. Black Hand versus Steel Talons is an interesting matchup. Some players will say that Steel Talons are massively favored to win, and others will say the Black Hand has the edge. I think the Black Hand have trouble against the Wolverine spam. I think Wolverines counter the infantry much more effectively than APCs do for GDI, but GDI of course gets sniper teams, but it's just one more thing you have to invest in, whereas the Wolverines can also deal with bike, buggy and tanks to a smaller degree. If you mix MRTs in with Wolverines, they can be very lethal against a tank infantry combo of the Black Hand player. Plus you got all the other tools that GDI factions enjoy, like Pitbulls. Pitbull spam is amazing for countering bike buggy as well. You're not going to die to flame tanks or reckoners as this faction, unless you don't scout it, since the Titans can crush both reckoners and flame tanks. That's one advantage that the Steel Talons enjoy over the other factions. They have a walker right out of the gates, right at tier 1, that can crush enemy tier 1 units. See an upgraded power plant here, so there's going to be a flame tank on the way. Now, Futurama was unaware that I was random in this particular game, so I could have been Scrin or Nod. Nevertheless, he went for this flame rush, and he's going to burn down my Tiberium spike. I've seen what he likes to do is go for the MCB, try and kill that with a flame tank. But obviously, me having this Titan here, he's not going to be able to get in there with that flame tank. I can always crush it as well. I'm going to deploy a power plant just to block this flame tank from retreating, hoping it goes on to heavy damaged mode and moves slower for me to kill it. But ultimately, that does escape. He takes out another power plant of mine. So the damage was dealt. He killed 2 of my Tiberium spikes, and I also lost 2 power plants. But I do have one. They're upgraded with the turbines. Built a command post because I was afraid he'd transition into man spams so soon after the flame tanks. Futurama is a bit unpredictable to me so far, since both me and him don't play each other all that often. Which is a cool thing about playing him, I will say, nowadays, is that most players you play against, you kind of know what they're going to do since you play them all the time. But there's a bit of mystery to this particular game for that reason. Black Hand squad I have yet to deal. I've got a hammerhead, and there are spotlights on hammerheads on this map since it is defined as a night map, even though it is broad daylight. But that's easily changed in the map settings. I could do that for releasing the next version in the end of November. I'm going to release a Christmas oriented patch for the end of November, for, in my opinion, the best time of the year, which is the Christmas season. Bunch of MRTs, which I didn't mean to build. I thought at one point I was going to go for MRTs with rockets inside and use them to fly around the place like I usually do against bike buggy spam, but Futurama isn't spamming bike buggy. Instead, he's spamming a lot of infantry. The radar scan support power of the GDI factions really helps you to get that intel that you need to make the right call on what to build. In this particular case, I need to go for a ton of Wolverines. There's a lot of infantry. And this ref placement isn't ideal, but if I were to place it closer to my tip field, I'd lose both my refineries to the catalyst. So even though it looks suboptimal, which it is, that ref placement, it's gonna prevent 2 from falling if he uses the catalyst missile. And now, more than ever, it's easier to lose 2 refineries since the catalyst missile decal was remade by me and it's accurately represents what the support power's radius is. So you don't need to guess as a player. The decal radius will show you. Going straight for a Marv since I am on the back foot for sure. If I can get that Marv to the middle field to Marvis some of that Tiberium, then maybe I can bring this one back. But against that man spell of his, this Marv won't make it there alone. Some bikes of his I might be able to take out. He didn't over commit into bike buggy, which is concerning to me. That's because he's got a ton of infantry. I'm spamming Wolverines when it's Behemoths when instead I need to be going for Wolverines. I don't have enough to counter this infantry, and if I were GDI here and I had like 5 APCs, it would be game over. But Steel Talons, they have the Venerable Wolverine. A lot of players and people on my YouTube, I noticed, like to point out that Wolverines are bad and they don't perform well. Well, I'll let this engagement change your mind. If you're one of them, you can see the AP ammo is just carving a huge gap in this infantry. All that infantry got shredded very quickly. If that were just APCs, I would not have achieved that with the units I had there. So that's one advantage of playing Steel Talons. The Wolverines allow you to better counter that Black Hand infantry. And I'm going to sell this Reclamator hub to get the Rifleman and Grenadier. Grenades and rifles inside of your epic unit are better now. I increased the range of both. DPS remains the same, but you're gonna notice the Marv shoots at a slightly longer range compared to previously with the rifle turret and grenade. In the case of the grenade, the difference is less noticeable, but yet still exists. I'm going for an upgrade that's seldom used, and that is the Steel Talon upgrade for Steel Talons. This was added in 1.2 plus almost a decade ago at this point. In case Shockwave can't finish the job on this Redeemer, I can build a Grenadier from my barracks and EMP it. Grenade's also decent versus infantry, but not when he has charged particle beam cabals on this map. So yeah, they're strictly going to be used to EMP and nothing more. Some shelling from those Spectres taking place. I don't have a means to counter them. Spectres, when firing at max range, can outrange Behemoths. And if I approach the Spectres and get into their range, then the infantry that lies before me will shoot down my Juggernaut. So I have to play this one out. I'm spreading out my Behemoths as best as I can, so his Spectre barrage won't kill 3 or 4 in one salvo. I've got decent vision of his base. That radar scan was definitely worth it. I'm able to anticipate where he's gonna focus fire. Sadly, I lost one of my Behemoths there. Marv trying to get some of that tip since I'm really starved for resources. And now my priority are Wolverines to kill the infantry. He's using the infantry to push back my Behemoths. so his Spectres can get free shots off on them. Marv moving forward, gonna use its rifle turret and grenade launcher to counter that infantry. That's a lot of infantry of his, and he is doing really well, not committing to attacking my behemoths. He's just letting the Spectres do the work. Now, one thing going for me is that he doesn't have a refinery set up on this field, though nor do I. He's probably been taking the blue Tiberium this whole time. Shockwave lands on his Redeemer. Hopefully those behemoths have what it takes to destroy it. Purify moving forward as well. That's going to cause huge problems for my Wolverines, but that Marv's triple barreled gun is going to make short work of that Purify, and it will go down. The Redeemer falls, but the Spectre artillery still remain on this map. I use a orbital strike to force them to undeploy and move back, but the cost is pretty high for me since I did lose 2 of my behemoths, though I still retain a lot of them. More behemoths will be going down. Spectres gaining ranks, but the most important thing here is that my Marv lives, and its rifle turret are going to slowly thin out this infantry. It's mostly just Cabals. There's a lot of Spectre artilleries, but Futurama decides to call it quits since he has nothing now to deal with the Marv. He has no EMP buggies. Looking back at this, I thought that he could have built some EMP Raider buggies, and yeah, I wouldn't have had much to defend against it. The Marv's gun is really slow. The turret turn rate is slow, so it can't respond to buggies very well, unlike the railgun Marv can. Anyways, guys, that was a really cool game, and as you'll see from this resource graph, he enjoyed an advantage over me, but I was able to bring that back with the use of the Shockwave artillery on the Redeemer, and yeah, I took some good trades. The key is getting rid of the Redeemer and thinning out that infantry. Then the Spectres will have to force their way back, and they're not effective without supporting units around them. And that's what I was focusing on more than killing the Spectres themselves. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed that video. If you did like it, then I'd really appreciate a thumbs up and a like on this one. And before I go, I'd like to thank my Patreon members for supporting me and keeping this channel going, as well as the patches and support I do for this game and its community. Anyways, guys, I'll see you all in the next video. This is it from me, Master Leaf. Peace out.